Good morning, guys. My name's Leslie Lancaster. I'm one of the recreational therapists at the Center for Individuals with Physical Challenges. As you can tell, I'm not at the center this morning. I'm still recording our videos from home. I'm sitting out on my back patio. As you can tell, there's a light mist going on, so you'll probably hear the rain in the background. And we have lots of trees around, so there's lots of birds chirping, and but I thought that would be kind of nice. I always love to listen to the rain and also the birds. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and get started this morning. We're talking about mental wellness and why that's so important to take care of ourselves, especially during this time when we're all staying inside, not able to come together. Our mental wellness is really important to take care of. And one of those ways that we can do that is by immersing ourselves in new learning, taking the time while we have it to learn either a new skill, gain knowledge about a subject that maybe you have an interest in, that you just never really took the time to really choose to spend the time to really learn something new. And I have actually taken upon myself during these last 6 weeks to learn more about something that I actually never thought that I could take care of before, which are succulent plants. I've always loved a garden. It's one of my recreational interests and hobbies, but I haven't had a garden in a long time. And just this year, my husband and his dad actually put a garden in right behind me, where you can see the cages are right back in here. But anyway, what I wanted to really talk about today is how taking care of something is really good for our mental health and mental wellness. And so in doing so, I am going to show you guys how to create a succulent container plant. This is something that my mom actually got me for Mother's Day, and I've been learning a lot about this over the last 6 weeks, how to take care of succulents, and learning just a lot about this particular plant species. I don't know if you can see down inside there's all kinds of different things that you can put into these succulent container plants. I just love it. As you can see, this right here is my little dog, Breezy. She's a part lab pit bull mix. My mom added that in there while she and I were making these. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to show you how to make these. It's kind of neat, all the different ways that you can create these succulent containers. I'm going to show you some different things that you might have around the house that you can actually make this in. And I've got a few over here I'm going to just grab. So obviously, why would this be important for our mental wellness, to learn something new? Well, anytime we learn something new and we take an interest in something, it is it's good for our brain, it's good for our mood. It's also it's pleasing to the eye. These having plants inside the home is pleasing to the eye. It makes me happy, and I know that having, maybe you don't have a big space where you can do a lot of gardening outside, or maybe you're not at a place where you can physically get out and work in the garden. Well, these succulent container plants are a great alternative. You can have many of these sitting around in a small space, like if you lived in an apartment or something like that. These are really easy to care for. As you'll see here in a minute, you can make lots of different ones and set them around for decoration. So there's lots of different options, and some of the benefits to having succulents in your home also is they emit oxygen into the air. So having that fresh air would be a good benefit to our mental wellness as well. Having, learning something new is can be a really good stress reliever as well, which is again another positive for our mental health and mental wellness. Something that I wanted to mention too before we get started making this is that learning something new helps break old patterns of behavior, because when you are starting to do something new, you're changing up your routines, you're changing up the patterns in which you operate, which is always a good idea. It helps you adapt to change. So anyway, those are just a few of the things that I thought I would talk about. Let's see here. Also, it can help incorporate something fun back into your life, learning a new hobby, or as I mentioned for myself, it was learning more about these succulents and how to use them as a decor in your home. And it also can help with loneliness and depression. Just having these around, they're, like I mentioned earlier, they're pretty. They just make you smile. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to show you how you can create one of these. And so first of all, you'll have to pick your container. So this might be something you have just laying around the house, just an empty food dish. Okay. You could actually, it's got two little areas. You could do, a little, you could do several succulents here, and then maybe one or two here on this side would be a neat place. Something else you could do is make one in an old basket that you have laying around the house. Okay. I found this up in my closet. This was something one of my oldest sons made for me back in 2004. I think he made it for Mother's Day actually, and it just says, "I love you, Mom." It's a little planter. You could use something like that laying around the house that you might have. Just a glass vase. This is more of what's called a terrarium, and a terrarium is basically just a see-through container plant that has soil and plants inside, and you would put them down deep inside there. Sometimes people can seal it off, but I would probably just leave it open. So that would be really cool, because you could see the different layers of all the elements that go into these succulent container plants. Another option is, which this is probably my favorite, I went and got a lot of my grandmother's old china, and as you can see, they're all little different teacups. You could use something like this. You could do a collection of succulents, which would be really cool. Put the succulents in these, and then you could arrange them as a collection, which would be super cool. Put them in your kitchen, just, maybe like on a platter, and with a little teapot or something. You could even use the teapot for your container plant, which would be really neat. This is another one that I thought was really cool. I printed this off the internet, and you could actually use a seashell. You can see there. Use it like a large seashell maybe you may have laying around the house that you've picked up on a trip or something. You can see they've got 3 succulents packed in there, which is really cool. Another thing that you could also use would be like a log. You could hollow out like a rotted piece of wood or log, and you could actually do one inside of there. And I'm going to show you a picture of one that's really neat. And my phone screen's cracked, so anyway, we'll just hold that up there, and you can see that those are logs where they've hollowed those out. Pretty cool. All right, so what we're going to actually do today is I'm going to use a latte, or you can use this as a soup cup, and this is what I'm going to use today to show you how to make one. So basically what you will do first is you'll fill the bottom of your container with some sort of rock. You'll have a couple of layers of rock that you'll put in. And these are just river rocks. They're all different colors, you can see. I saw some white ones, which I thought were really pretty too, but I just thought these would be easy to grab. So you'll put a couple of layers of these river rocks or some type of stone in the bottom of your container. About 2 layers or so will be fine, and you do that so that you have a drainage system which will help prevent the plants from flooding when you water. So that'll be your base layer. And then next you'll take some moss. Got some moss here. And what you'll do is you'll spray it down with water. Just spray it lightly with water. Then you're going to take that moss and lay it down on top of the rock and just kind of lay it flat. If you have a bigger space, you'll just kind of pull it apart. It stretches really easily, and then just wet it down and pat it down really good. Okay, so you've got your river rock on bottom, then your moss on top of that, and then the next thing you'll do is start adding your soil. So, got my soil over here. I'm going to put that on top. You don't want to fill it up too much because you want to have plenty of room to put your soil or to put your succulents in there. I'm going to actually add a little bit more so my succulent can be seen. That's another reason I like to use a clear vase or a little bit wider opening because it's kind of hard to tell. And in the clear vase you can kind of see the layers, which is really neat. So I've got my soil in, and then the last thing that you'll add will be your succulents. So I'm going to take one of these. Basically you'll take your succulent and you'll just put it down in that, and they're in the dirt. Pack it nice and tight in there. And for you gardeners, you'll know how to do that. Add a little bit more soil around the root system of your succulent. And pack that down in there. Okay. And then you'll add your final touches, which will be any kind of decorative stone. You could do pebbles. In here we've got just some smaller pebbles you could add on top. Let's see. And just kind of place them around wherever you'd like. You can add some seashells. I've got some seashells over here. I found those when we were on a trip one time. Okay, see how that's looking down in there? Don't want my stuff to fall out since it's so freshly packed. Okay, and then put a few more in there. But you can just get really creative with what you want to put as your top layer. And there you go. Quick and easy to do. Doesn't take a lot of supplies. As you start to grow your succulent, you could actually take clippings from them, and so your initial investment might be a little more expensive. But once you start having, once they start growing, you could take clippings and you could start new ones. And again, just have all kinds of options as to what you could do with these, which I just think they're so cool. And they're easy to take care of. They don't take much water at all. They actually don't require a lot of water, and you don't want to water these every day. You really don't. You always want to make sure that the succulent has dried out before you add more water, so that you don't cause the roots to rot and the plant will die. So anyway, I hope you all enjoyed that, and take some time to learn something new. It's good, again, like I said, for your mental wellness. It's fun. It's good to get involved in something completely different that you would never have done before. Like I said, I always thought that these were hard to take care of. I never realized they were low maintenance, and I actually might make a few more of these to sit out here on my patio. Or you could even make one to give away to a friend as a gift. It's an inexpensive way to think about somebody else, which is good for your mental health and wellness as well as doing something for others. So I hope you enjoyed this today. In the meantime, stay well, stay centered, and until we meet again.